Hi learners, it's glad to see you in Krishna's space. Today is the day 98 of our 300 days DSA journey. So it's time for our today's problem. Let's understand it. So today's problem is threesome. Here we have given an integer array called nums and we have to return all the triplets nums of I, nums of j and nums of k such that I is not equal to j and j is not equal to k. Also, nums of I plus nums of j plus nums of k should equal to be 0. And they have given a notice that solution set must not contain duplicate triplets. That means we have to provide unique triplets in our answer. So now let's get into the examples and understand this problem more. So as we can see in the example 1, we have given an array and in the output they have given two distinct triplets. So if we are going to add these triplets, we are going to have 0. Same in example 2 as well. We have given an array and in the output they have written empty list because there is no triplet here which can give 0 by adding them. Same in example 3 as well. We have given an array in which all the elements are zeros. So that's why in the output they have written all the three zeros because after adding them we are going to have 0. So now let's understand how I have solved this problem. So to solve this problem, the first thing that I have done is to sort the array. Why? Because we are going to use two pointers approach here and it will help us to know that when we have to increment and when we have to decrement our variable. So now let's take the example 1 and understand the approach step by step. So as I said, the first thing we are going to do is to sort our array. So that means now in our nums we are going to have the elements as -4, -1, 0, 1 and 2. After sorting them, what we are going to do, we are going to create three variables I, j and k in which we are going to fix I and then we are going to move j and k according to the condition. So let's say my I is pointing to the first element which is currently -4 and my j will going to point the next element which is -1 and k will going to point the last element which will be 2. So what we are going to do, we are going to sum up all the three elements pointed by all the three variables and after adding up if we get 0, so we are going to put it into our answer list and if we get the answer greater than 0, so we are going to decrement our k and if we get the answer less than 0, so we are going to increment our j. Why I said this? Because if we get the answer in a positive, so that means we need to decrement our values and for that we are going to decrement our j because we know our array is sorted. That means if we are going to decrement our k, we are going to have some less than before. And same for the j as well. If we get the value less than 0, so that means we need to increment our value so that we can reach to 0. So that's why I had said if the value we are getting is less than 0, so we are going to increment our j. So now let's add all the three elements -4, -1 and 2. So we are going to have -3 which is less than 0. That means we are going to increment our j. And now the next value of j will be -1 again. So again when we are going to sum up, we are going to have -3. In the next run again, we are going to increment our j and now we will get j as 0. So when we are going to add -4, 0 and 2, we are going to have -2. Again it is less than 0. So we are going to increment our j and now we get 1. So as we got j as 1, so now we are going to add up all the three elements. So we are going to have -1. Again it is less than 0. So we are going to increment our j and it will become 2 which is the value of k as well. So that means we don't get any two elements for -4 which can makes it 0. So we are going to increment our I and now I will going to point -1 and j will going to point the next value which is again -1 and k will going to point the last element which is 2. So now when we are going to add up -1, -1 and 2, we are going to have the value 0. That means these are the three elements which we can add into our answer. So after adding them into our answer, what we are going to do, we are going to increment our j. So now our j will going to point 0 and k will remain at the same point which is 2. Now we are going to add -1, 0 and 2. So we are going to have 1 which is greater than 0. That means we are going to decrement our k now and now my k will going to point 1. So now we are going to add -1, 0 and 1 which will gives us the answer 0. So we are going to add them into our answer and in the next run we are going to increment our j which will become 1 now as j and k are pointing same elements, so we are going to increment our I, which is going to point again -1. As the previous value and current value is same, so we are going to move forward, and now I is going to point 0 and j will going to point 1 and k is going to point 2. As when we are going to sum up all the three, we are going to have 3 which is greater than 0. So we are going to decrement our k. So now j and k both are same. So now we are going to increment our I, which will become 1. Then j will become 2 and k will also become 2. So as j and k both become 1, so now we are going to come out from this loop and going to return our answers, in which we have two distinct triplets, -1, -1, 2 and -1, 0 and 1. So that's what I have done in my code as well. As you can see, first I have short my I. After that I have created a list and I am running a loop, in which the first thing I am doing is to check if the value of previous I and the current I is same or not, if my I is greater than 0. If they are same, so we are going to continue as we have done when -1 and -1 comes. And after that what we are doing is we are creating j and k, in which the value of j will be I plus 1 and the value of k will be length of nums minus 1. And then I am running a loop in which j should be less than k, and then we are adding up all the three elements pointed by all the three variables, and if it is greater than 0, so we are going to decrement our k, and if it is less than 0, so we are going to increment our j, and if the value is 0, so we are going to add all the three elements into our answer and we are going to increment our j. And then again, if previous nums of j and current nums of j are same, so we are going to increment our j till we got the different element. And in the last, after coming out from this loop, we are going to return our answer. So that's how I have solved this problem. If you guys have any other solution of it, do write it on comment. And thank you so much for watching this video and staying with me.